everybody, welcome back. Today in the hot seat, the well, not quite so new, but it's still fairly new, the KLEIN Tools MM600 Volume Multimeter Pleasure. Let's take a look. Gotta tell you, KLEIN tools are so popular on the channel. No word of a lie, these KLEIN multimeter reviews get a ton of views. So, wow, they definitely have a fan base out there. Now, one time, all of the KLEINs used to be made in the US of A. Unfortunately, today, that is no longer the case. They are made in China, but they still do adhere to those good American values of good, honest workmanship. Something to note, there are two different versions of this multimeter. There's one with the non-true RMS, the MM600, what we're looking at today. It is the cheaper sibling to the MM700, the true RMS, but otherwise identical multimeter. Already to start things off, what do you get in the box? Well, first of all, you don't get a box. It is a plastic bubble wrap enclosure, but it keeps it super safe, so that's not a bad thing. You do get a thermocouple because, yes, the KLEIN does do temperature in both Celsius and Fahrenheit. Awesome. And that thermocouple has a K-type attachment, as you can see here. So that goes right into the meter. We'll take a look at that after, but that is for the thermocouple attachment. As well, you get a couple of these crocodile clips. Always handy dandy in the multimeter world. Nice to see. And these actually seem to be pretty good quality as well. So definitely a bonus. And finally, the KLEIN test leads. KLEIN test leads are definitely a notch above your standard cheapo test leads. No, they're not silicone, they're still PVC. That being said, wow, they do have a really nice fit and finish to them. 10 amps, KLEIN Tools branding as well. Do I have a CAT rating here? There we go, CAT 3 1000 volt. Wow, super sharp as well. Yeah, these should be nice. We'll see how good they are. Take a look at the opposite end. Look at the shroud, nice and long. Oh, good. And of course, you get the user manual, instruction manual for the MM600. KLEIN does a top-notch job in this department. Wow, look at that. Amazing, nice pictures, really verbose quality. And because this is a Canadian version, we do get it in French. And look at the English bag you get, KLEIN. You give us a bag, and it's a nice bag. Wow, step up from the rest. Now, when I say a step up, I ain't kidding. A lot of multimeter bags look like this. Yeah, look at that. Can you see a difference? Well, of course you can. Really cheap and not so cheap. So KLEIN is not doing the cheap thing. No, they're taking it up a notch, giving you a really nicely padded, nicely zippered enclosure here. So this is a gorgeous bag to put the multimeter in. And speaking of multimeter, oh, that feels quality. Definitely KLEIN is a bit above your average in terms of overall quality. Look at that. This is a really solid multimeter. Now the membrane, once again, the boot does not come off. It is attached to the membrane, so it is on there permanently, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I'm telling you, wow, this is just feels quality. Feels definitely like a Fluke style quality here, or a Keysight. No stand as well, nice and wide, and it has that sort of unity shape, which I love because that means you just have a lot of control. Look at that, one-handing this puppy, no problemo. And as well on the tilt stand, this is actually rubber. So you have the plastic here, but we have a nice rubber base giving us a ton of grip. Beautiful. Let's take a closer look at that selector switch, starting off at the midnight or off position. Moving to the left, we have our high current, 10 amps, AC-DC. Milliamps, AC-DC. Microamps, AC-DC. Temperature, Celsius and Fahrenheit. Volts, AC-DC, up to 1000 volts. Resistance, continuity, and diode. Capacitance. Finally, frequency and duty cycle. At the top of the meter, we have our select switch, followed on top by the range. Rel or delta, max, min, and on the far right we have our one-touch hold, which also doubles as a backlight. Bottom of the meter we have our high current 10 amp input. Below that we have our microamp, milliamp up to 500 milliamps. Common or ground, and at the top right we have our voltage, resistance, diode, continuity, capacitance, temperature, frequency, and duty cycle. By removing one Phillips screw, look at that. Wow, absolutely gorgeous. Check it out. Here we have our high current fuse as well as the milliamp fuse. And look at that easy breezy access to those AAA batteries. Awesome. Nice brass threaded insert here. No worries about wear and tear. Also, on the back of the tilt stand, we have that ETL Intertech rating, which means this has been certified by a third party, so you definitely know it is on the safe side. Enclosure here. Now, unfortunately, KLEIN, for whatever reason, does not give you that hanging strap. You know, at this price point, they probably should. And it's probably a good time to talk about price point, because this meter is not cheap. It retails for around $65 to $70 US, around 85 to 89 Canadian. Of course, we have these nice probe inserts here. You can one-hand a measurement if you want, simply by taking out a probe and one-handing it. Really, you know, easy breezy. So of course, you see this on a lot of multimeters, but always nice. Okay, without further ado, let's turn it on, shall we? Oh yes, so we have that one little beep, and by default it is going into AC volts. You can switch that to DC simply by hitting that select button. And whoa, look at that font. That is some chunky, funky font going on there. Blocky, woo, whoa. Yeah, that might take some getting used to. Not a big fan of the chunks per se, but well, you know, it is what it is. What do you think? I'm sort of on the fence on this one. Now we can invoke that backlight simply by holding on the hold for a couple of seconds, and we have a nice, very nice blue hue going on. Let's just lose a little bit of lighting here, shall we? Yeah, that's a really sweet looking backlight. Absolutely gorgeous. No bleeding whatsoever. Looking good. And the backlight does not stay on indefinitely. It'll turn off after about 45 seconds. Welcome back to another edition of this week's vent. Oh, it's something I've been yelling about for a long time. Of shielding. Oh, why? Frequently responsible for so many measurement errors. Why is that? Well, because multimeters are precision measuring instruments. Precision, get it? By throwing out basic shielding principles, we're actually allowing test errors into the test environment. Makes no sense. EMI and RFI are everywhere. Everywhere. So why do OEMs insist on not giving us shielding? Why? Military displays, industrial controls, aircraft shielding, and test measuring equipment, aka multimeters, should all have shielding. Worst part is, it actually costs peanuts. A couple of pennies to provide basic shielding. Pennies. Foil or copper tape, you know what? It ain't made of gold. No shielding means errors, and it can be errors galore. EMI RFI can seriously mess up our test results. Reviews of hundreds of multimeters, and only a handful I've come across have actually had shielding. Why? Starting things off with our DC accuracy test, and whoa, look at that. 2.50, 0 volts DC. Can't get any better than that. Mr. KLEIN, you are super accurate in that low voltage department. Alrighty, let's take it up to 5 volts now. 5.00 is what we want, and amazing. Look at that, 5.00. Excellent. Okay, well, moving down the line, here we go. 7.50 volts is what we want to see. 7.50. Yes, are we going to make it 4 for 4? 10.00 is what we need. Here we go, and oh yeah, Mr. KLEIN MM600, you did it. 4 out of 4 in the DC accuracy test bed. That is really amazing, and not many multimeters do this well, so great job. Okay, we're sitting at 1.01 volts according to the power supply, and hey, look at that, 1.01, 1.01, and 1.00. And on the far left, we have the Sanwa PC7000 multimeter. This will be up for review shortly. In the middle, we have the star of the show, the KLEIN MM600, and on the right, the venerable HT118A from Habitest. Awesome cheapo. Okay, sitting at 1.01 volts, up and away. I'm going to settle up now at 8.00 volts. 8.00 spot on for the KLEIN. Oh, look at that Sanwa. Whoa, doesn't get any better than that. 8.000 and 7.99 for the Habitest. Okie doke. Now we're going to settle at 15.17 volts. And wow, 15.19 for the Sanwa, 15.19 for the KLEIN, and 15.17 for Mr. Habitest. Interesting. Okay, 22.6. Let's get it on 22 even Steven, shall we? Come on, Siegel power supply. 22 volts even. Oh, KLEIN, you never let us down, do you? 22 even Steven for the KLEIN, 22.01 for the Sanwa, 21.9897 for the Habitest. Okay, finally, we are just going to go for gold here. Max things out at 32.00 volts, 32.00 for the KLEIN, 32.01 for Sanwa, and 31.96 for the Habitest. Amazing, good stuff. Whoa, well, you know what? I'd have to say the winner, and it's a close one between KLEIN and Sanwa, but I'm going to give this one to Mr. KLEIN. Amazing. Wow, good job. You did well against that $400 Sanwa, I must say. And how about test? You weren't too far off. All right, sitting in high current mode right now, sitting at 3.28 amps according to the KLEIN, 3.27 for Mr. KLEIN. Okay, let us take it up. We're going to max it out right now. We're going to go right past that 10 amp mark. And we have that high current alarm at 10.3 amps, coming up as 10.29. And let's just bring it down. So 10 amps, yeah, the high current alarm kicks in. Good stuff. 2.49 amps right now, 2.488 for the KLEIN, so no problems here with high current. Diode testing time, starting off with the red LED. We've got it in diode mode right here on the selector switch, as you can see. Starting off with the red LED, and there we go. With that forward voltage drop, 1.7 volts. Let's take it over to the yellow. No worries there with the forward voltage drop. Over to the white LED, yes, with a forward voltage drop, and the blue and the green. Look at that, 5 for 5 in terms of illumination and a forward voltage drop. Excellent. Wow, this meter is definitely impressing. Here we are with the standard diode. And there's our forward voltage drop. We don't get an audible beep, which would have been super sweet. 3.29 volts output voltage in diode mode. Excellent. I've got the KLEIN hooked up to a high voltage tester, and we're going to zap it with 250, 500, and 1,000 volts, respectively. Let's see how good the KLEIN does. I honestly think it's going to do well, but hey, always fun to try. Starting off with 250 volts DC, 3, 2, 1. And there we are, 255, 256. No problems there. Now, we're not getting any sort of high voltage alert or warning, audible or visual, so that's kind of too bad. But anyway, taking up to 500 volts now. 500 volts, 3, 2, 1. And bada bing, 510 volts DC. And still no high voltage alert, but no worries here. I'm not smelling smoke. Okie doke. Last but not least, 1000 volts DC, 3, 2, 1. Survey says high voltage warning. It's showing us an over limit. We are actually 1017 volts. And we're finally getting that audible alarm. But yeah, there you go. So it survived. Good stuff. Hey. Continuity's in the house. Starting off with the stock default KLEIN test leads. 3, 2, 1. Well, it misses a couple of them, but it is loud. Latched. But definitely not the fastest. So it's about a 6, 7 out of 10. Let's try the Probe Masters. Probe Masters. You know what? I've never met a pair of Probe Masters I didn't want to take home. The hell does that mean anyway? Doesn't matter. 3, 2, 1. Oh, better. Yeah, much better with the Probe Masters. Well, what the heck else is new? Loud, latched, and much faster. Yeah, that's about an 8.5 out of 10. Good stuff. .2 decibels, maximum output volume, and continuity. Hey, let's talk briefly about the selector switch. Nice clack, clickety click. I like it. Now you do have to sort of pinch it a little bit more. I wish it was perhaps about a ½ inch bigger overall. But that being said, it really does hit those ranges with authority. And yeah, I like it. Good job. I have to say, aesthetically speaking, this is a good-looking meter, really good-looking meter. Fit and finish, once again, is definitely high-end, and it just feels good in the hand. Perfect size, and overall, they have done a really stand-up job in making a good-looking meter. Let's take a quick peek at that max min functionality. You just hit the max min button like so, and let's start off 24.73 volts, 24.74 coming up. And let's just take it up, 31.64 max, and let's bring it down now to, let's say, 3.20 volts. So there is our max and min. Now, to verify that with the meter, 3.2 as the minimum, 31.6 as the max. So a handy-dandy feature to have. Pretty simple to use. Okay, we're going to take a quick look at resistance, starting off with 1 mega ohm, 0.998 coming up on Mr. KLEIN. Oh, look at that, one. Very close. Let's take it up to 3 mega ohm. Nice and fast. 6 mega ohm. Yes, 10 mega ohm. Beauty. All right, let's do 1.1. 1.11. Nice and fast to range. We've seen some pretty slow meters here as of late in the resistance ranges. So that is a pleasant surprise. Let's try 500K. Remember, this is auto ranging. And wow, that is really fast. Let's try 900K. Beauty. Wow, I gotta say, resistance is impressive. Good stuff. Using those alligator clip leads now, and 8.25 ohm on this precision resistor, 1% tolerance. Coming up is 8.4 on the KLEIN. So all things considered, hey, that is pretty close. Finally, quick look at temperature. Now, you don't have an ambient sensor on board the MM600. Oh, why? But we don't. So to take temperature, we need to use the little doohickey, aka adapter. So basically, you just stick it in like so. Make sure your positive is in the positive. And then you're going to pull out your included K-type thermocouple attachment. And you just insert it negative into positive and negative positive. Once you do that, bada boom, bada bing, we're going to get a temperature. In fact, we're looking at around 68.9 degrees Fahrenheit here in the studio. And we can hit the select button to get the Celsius. 20.8 degrees Celsius, 21 degrees Celsius. So, yeah, there you go. Too bad we have to use that thermocouple attachment, but yeah. Not much in the way of functionality in terms of capacitance. We have a meager 1 millifarad or 1000 microfarad capacitance for this KLEIN. So anyway, it is what it is. Let's try one 560 microfarad cap. See how quick it is to range. Here we go. It is thinking. 514 microfarads, so that really wasn't too bad. And last but not least, we do have AC. Now remember, this is not True RMS. The True RMS version of this meter is about 70 bucks more. So they're going to ding you for an extra 70 clams if you want to have True RMS. Anyway, it is what it is. 119.9, pretty darn close in terms of AC. Finally, we have our frequency and duty cycle on the meter as well. Very bottom of the range here. 49.9, 50% or so duty. Oh, I'm telling you, nothing more exciting than getting underneath the hood of a multimeter. Oh, I love this stuff. Okay, all excitement aside, let's start off with this side, the reverse side of the meter. You know, really good quality PVC here. Once again, plastic-wise, very, very nice. I mean, it's hard to make it come across on camera, but this is solid PVC here. Excellent style plastics. Now, you can see something which looks absolutely atrocious. Yes, that is the cutout. Literally, it's a cutout. Looks like it was done with pliers. That is what makes contact with the springs over here for the battery terminals. Very, very messy, you know. Not an elegant solution to power this multimeter at all. Oh, God. KLEIN, if you're listening, please do something about that. It's really fugly. Yeah. Other than that, no shielding. Well, that would have been nice, but yeah. Okay, let's take a look at the main PCB. Wow, absolutely stellar. Good job, KLEIN. I'm telling you, I'm almost speechless here. This is really, really well done. Let's start off with those input jacks. They are screwed in. They're not soldered on, screwed in. And we have a nice nut and a little flywheel there holding those in place. Definitely not going anywhere. You usually see this implementation on the higher end multimeters. Very, very nice to see. And look at that, 1-2 MOVs for input protection. Moving up, we've got our fuses, one HRC here, high rupture capacity fuse, SIBA, made in Germany. Greetings, Deutschland. Hey, big shout out to all my German viewers. I know there's a lot of you out there. Guten Tag. SIBA, 10 amp, 1000 volt. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I wish I saw this style fuse in every multimeter. And on the low current side, 500 milliamp, 1000 volt ceramic fuse as well. Yeah, there's those atrocious battery terminals like I mentioned before. You know, why they don't just have some nice pads here that make contact with the opposite side, you know, completing that circuit to give you power instead of this, you know, funky cold Medina setup. Absolutely, no excuses. Here we have our buzzer piezo, and looks like we have a diode clamp as well, and a diode in the middle. That's probably for reverse polarity in case you put the batteries in the wrong way. And there is the star of the show, the main IC right in the middle. That is it's actually a rebranded IC. It's the DM1106EN. That's actually, I think, a Hicon tech. I've seen these in some Unities before. I think the 210E clamp has one of these. Pretty popular chip. It's been around for a while. And yeah, seems to do a fine job. The EEPROM over here, that is the 24LC S62. That's from Microchip Technologies, and that is a 2K serial EEPROM. No NCV on this multimeter, so hence we don't have any sort of filament or non-contact voltage mechanism here. But let's take it apart further and see what's on the other side. Okay, let's reverse it now, the other side, and holy moly! Whoa! For real, look at that. I have died and gone to multimeter input heaven. Oh my God. Wow. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MOVs, a total of 5 MOVs, and 1, 2, 3 PTCs, and a high current, high-powered resistor as well. So, oh, good God, I was not expecting that. KLEIN, you have definitely stepped up the plate when it comes to input protection. Oh, there's wow. High current shunt as well, nice and thick, and that white wire is actually going all the way to the ground or common terminal there at the bottom. Look at those. Whoa, look at those tracks. Yeah, nice. Kind of like a gold-plated crop circle, don't you think? Beautiful. We've got some dielectric on there as well. Good to see dielectric on that rotary selector track. Moving up the line. Oh, I'm so impressed so far. I'm impressed, KLEIN. Let's just take off the LCD display. And yeah, it just comes out like so. And we lift up the top. There you can see just the circuit, which makes contact with the elastomer, and that is what feeds. That's what gives us our chunky, funky digits on this multimeter. But yeah, so not much else going on here on this PCB. Wow, amazing input protection, KLEIN. This is definitely top notch. Okay, let's take a look at the rotary selector as well. Well, no, let's start with the soft touch buttons here. All one piece of molding. And there we have our pads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pads. And that is the selector switch. Slightly different take on it, but you can see we have still our steel bearings there. 1, 2 balls, keeping everything nice and tactile. Excellent. So, I mean, I gotta say, I am very impressed. KLEIN, you did a great job with this PCB. Okay, gonna put it all back together, come back with my closing thoughts. Closing thoughts on the KLEIN Tools MM600. Whoa, you know I love this one. Wow, KLEIN has done a stellar job on this. Holy moly cannoli, did you see that input protection? I just can't say enough. Wow, great job, KLEIN. Kudos, you really hit the nail on the head. You hit the ball out of the ballpark. Man, that is a build quality through and through. My only caveat is the atrocious battery terminal connection method. Cutting a hole in the back just doesn't work. So, KLEIN, you've done such a great job with this meter and other incarnations in the past. Please do yourself a favor and let's clean up the way that the batteries make contact with the PCB. In terms of accuracy, this thing was top notch. I mean, wow, DC accuracy voltage was incredibly spot on. This meter was a pleasure to use, and I gotta tell you, it was a lot of fun doing this review and having it with me on the bench. The KLEIN Tools MM600, the tough meter. It's and I'm giving it a half-star extra for that input protection, a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, look no further. If you're looking for a Fluke multimeter without the Fluke price, KLEIN Tools has you covered. Too bad about the true RMS, but hey, you know what? This is still a stellar multimeter. Thanks for watching this review, everybody. To the next one, keep on testing.